one quarter. There you go.
So that was the audio call of the field goal block at the end of the game, and everyone was about as enthusiastic as we were, and Giant fans, and probably even Saint fans were at that game. Just a horrible game to watch. We were just sitting there laughing at the futility of our teams, both of our teams, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we are the three Angry Giant fans and a Jet fan. It's your host Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Angry Jets fan Novak. And appropriate ending to a game that just sums up our season. And then the appropriate ending to the Jets game that sums up their season. It's a year of Loserville.
Just losers.
Just losers. The Giant fans were cheering when the kick was blocked. If you guys could tell, I actually went back and watched the video, and you can actually hear people cheering in the stands. And these are Giant fans, knowing the fact that we're in this is Tankathon now. So who wanted? We didn't want to win that game. It's like you can't help but react just because of the futility and the loserville of it. That's what makes you kind of just like react. But it's just absolutely typical of how that game ended, which was a game of the most as unmemorable a game as you could find in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, you know how Cardone is, and all of us really, about remembering old games. Try recalling this one in 10 years, Cardone. Try queuing this one up. Remember when we played the Saints and we lost in the blocked field goal? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
10 years. We forgot about it 10 minutes later. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no kidding.
So before we get into the breakdown, which little breakdown there will be, let's give a shout out. So hello, Orsa County, New York, population 1,315. I had never heard of this place before. It's a village in Oneida County. It's near Rome, New York, not Rome, Italy. It was named for being at the intersection of the Oriskany Creek and the Mohawk River. And the guy who surveyed the land, Garrett Lansing, founded the Oriskany Manufacturing Company in 1811, and that's the official year of the village. So I guess it was named after a river. The Erie Canal once passed through there in the early days. Not a whole lot of other information about Oriskany.
This is tiny. I don't know if you guys have looked this up, but man, this is small. I have to zoom out a ways to figure out even where it is in New York.
Is that one of those towns where there's one traffic light?
Yeah.
Sorry, Novak, go ahead.
I think it's Oriskany. It might be Oriskany. It's Oriskany. Oriskany?
It sounds like one of those names that there's people butcher.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or Oriskany.
It could be Oriskany. You might be right.
Right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it's like it does immediately sound like one of those names you just butcher.
I mean, we're every one of us is like from New York, New Jersey area. I don't even recognize a town close to this one.
That's like, I mean,
I got to zoom out far enough to get Syracuse in there. But that's a long way away.
This is interesting. As I'm looking at the map, trying to see where even Rome is. I'm scrolling through and a little bit south of Albany. This would be a good one, Scott. Coxsackie, New York. I mean, how about that for a name of a town? Where are you from? I live over the hill there. I'm in Coxsackie. Oh, you're in Coxsackie. I mean, that's what's. I wonder what their team mascot is for the high school.
Coxsackie ball bags.
Beavers or something.
Coxsackie beavers. So we got to thank Rugged Uncle. Rugged Uncle's sponsorship paid for a day out for us to watch an amazing slate of football games for our two teams, and we went to our favorite watering hole and we took up a corner. And by the end of the day, it was the corner of losers, and it was we had a lot of fun being in the corner of losers. It was the most relaxed any of us had been watching a game. We didn't care if our teams won. We, as a matter of fact, probably didn't want them to win, and we just watched the tragedy unfold in spectacular fashion. Giants lose at the end, Jets lose in overtime. So it was just it was almost like poetic justice for what the way the season was. So thanks, Rugged Uncle. You captured the season perfectly.
Yeah,
I
no
think
doubt.
I think like we went back and forth between laughing at the teams, because you had the TVs one next to the other, and then we would laugh at the Giants because they do something stupid, and then we watch the Jets and laugh at them, go back to the Giants, laugh at them again. It was comedy of errors. It was great. I would love. I had no care in the world. Could have cared
Yeah.
less what happened. It was fun.
You guys know I mean, one of my pet peeves is picking out a fan in the middle of a bar somewhere, and as their team is playing, they're just yucking it up. They're just, they're playing it. Maybe they may be in the middle of a pool game or something like that. And I think I said to you guys at one point, I go, look at this. I'm cracking up. I got a beer in my hand. I go, the New York Giants are playing over my shoulder, and I'm not even paying any attention. I'm missing plays in the middle of the game. I look up, all of a sudden the Giants fourth down. Let's just not even pay. Didn't have a care in the world. Stress-free football. I was one of those losers. Just like someone saw me, be like, look at this asshole. Giant game's on above his head. He's not even looking at the TV. I didn't even know what down it was half the time. I didn't know who had the ball a couple times. I look up, I go, oh shit, we're on defense.
I missed significant chunks of plays. I will say that when the game ended, I caught myself being sad. I did. Cardone picked up on it right away. He's like, no, Mike, don't be sad. Like, don't be sad. This is good. This is a good thing, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got the same thing when the Jets lost. I got the what are you worried about? You're gonna be fine in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he was there. You guys were right. I was fine in 5 minutes.
So there wasn't a whole lot to recap in this game. The Giants basically were refused to be allowed to win. They called a bullshit holding on a punt return that was a touchdown. That guys, the way we summed it up at the place was, do they call any of these things on the Chiefs? Do they call a personal foul when you try a field goal on the Chiefs? Do they call a minimal hold on a punt return on the Chiefs? This stuff just doesn't happen. Other than that, Drew Lock started out a spectacularly bad 0-8, which I think was the worst start for a Giants quarterback in a long, long time, if not ever. And then the other thing, the bright spot, if there is one, is Micah McFadden was all over the place. Giants actually had something like 12 tackles for losses in this game, believe it or not. And McFadden was just a monster playing out of his mind.
Yeah, the Giants were good against the run. That whole game, of course, it doesn't matter if he can't score any points. So it just. But they were great. They were great against the run. New Orleans knew coming into that game, gosh, we just don't want to put this ball in danger, because if we just don't do that, we'll win. And the Giants kind of forced them to put it in danger a couple times by stopping the run. But you can't capitalize on it. Even when you do, the officials won't let you. There might be a tank. There might be something against the Giants this year. And if it is, I think it's a gift from the NFL. The NFL is saying, let's get these Giants the first pick. Because that hold was insane. And we have a couple of different standards on here for how we rate calls. And Scott mentioned one of them, that is, just think of if this is a Chiefs game and the Chiefs getting called for that hold. That's a standard we use. The other one, which goes back to like our first season, which Cardone brought to my attention, and I've used it ever since. I never thought of it before. But if they don't throw that flag, is that guy who got, I'm using air quotes, held, is he just going bananas? Oh God! What are you doing? Tugging his jersey, screaming. No, it's
the bench, right? The coaching staff and the Saints sidelines. Oh, come on! Are you out of your mind?
Right there.
Where's the flag? He's being raped across. Come on, man!
Yeah. No.
As a matter of fact, on that play, the Saints coach was going ballistic at his own player.
On his own, that's right.
He knew that. He knew that was a touchdown.
Forget the players. The guy we were with, Scott, who usually loses his mind, was like, nah. After he screamed about it, he got over it in about 10 seconds. He didn't care. That just says something.
We were saying, I think it was it doesn't matter, second quarter, halftime, whatever it was. I just remember at one point, we were saying the Saints were up 7-3, which is just disgusting. It's just a disgusting NFL game. And I remember thinking, the Saints are up by 4 on the road in an NFL game, and they've done nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. and they had a 4-point lead on the road in an NFL game. It was
And at
what
the
a
time,
horrific. It's not football. It's not the NFL.
At the time, didn't it seem like a 20-point lead?
It did.
Yeah. That
course it did.
4-point lead seems like 2 touchdowns, man. At least. It's it's comical. It is. I'm really trying to find. I guess what I learned this week is I haven't fully embraced, because I think embracing the tank would mean like actually enjoying it. I've embraced the tank. I want it. But I don't enjoy watching it, even for the comedy value.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was having a pretty good time.
I was having a great time with you guys. I wasn't enjoying.
I mean, Locke going over 8. Like I said, I was hoping he would. I was hoping he would end the game like 4 for 27 or something. That would have been.
Now
funny.
that was great, man. What counting down Locke. It just how we all went when he completed the first pass.
At one point, he was like 2 of 11 for like 7 yards. It was like
so unbelievably gross.
By the time he completed a pass, the score was insurmountable. I mean, you play games like that.
So on the TV next to us was the Jets-Dolphins, and for a while the Jets looked like, they're going to win this one, pull it out, and then once again victory is snatched away from them by defeat.
Yeah, that game. It's funny. Your game was like 7-3, and the Jets and the Dolphins had like a normal NFL game, right? They were scoring here and there, a touchdown, a field goal, some good defensive plays, some turnovers. It was like a normal game, right? And the Jets actually resembled an NFL team. Rodgers spread the ball around. He wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. They had run game was okay. They made some decent completions. Devontae Adams was in there. Garrett Wilson, it was just a normal game. That's the first time I've seen that in a while with these two teams. And then inexplicably, this team finds a way to lose when all they had to do at the end there was run it 3 times, let the clock run down, and kick a field goal. And they get sacked. They have an incompletion, and Devontae Adams can't go out of bounds or can't stay in bounds, and he gets pushed out of bounds, and they kick the ball off to the Dolphins after a field goal. And of course they tie it and go over. I mean, just this team finds the most incredible ways to lose. And I'm not going to say the Jets are dominant, but they dominated that game, in my opinion, for the most part. Like, even I was saying at the end there, they're going to win this game. And
they were the better team. They were the better team for
almost the better team in that game.
Yeah.
On the road, no less.
Yeah.
It's just wild. They're so poorly coached. It's incredible.
Yeah. The Jets have been on the field for like 55 minutes the last few games. Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's like they just say, nah. It's really.
If you just dropped in and watched this game and didn't know how bad the record was, you would think this is a decent team. Yeah, and then you look up at the end and they lost. Yeah. It's just losers lose. That's all it comes down to.
Losers
lose. And you guys are losers. I'm a loser. We're all losers.
The most striking thing I saw on Sunday is that the cameraman now has a ton of time for crowd shots because we don't see Saleh, we don't see the coach. It's just between plays, we're actually watching people walk back to the huddle. We're not focused on Saleh's reaction.
I didn't realize how much I missed Robert Saleh. I really the last couple weeks. It's something that's really missing on my Sunday. Are the shots of Saleh and then extended Saleh. I really miss it.
I do too. I miss it as well. Yep. That was while I thoroughly enjoyed my time with you guys on Sunday, that there was a missing element, and it was the Saleh element that we missed. No doubt.
Yeah. Big hole, a big game day hole.
Yeah. It's sad.
I will say again, one more time, there is something to be said about stress-free football. I mean, as much as
I agree.
Disgusting as our teams are, there's something about just having we had smiles on our faces the entire afternoon
Yeah.
Like
That was.
just because we were just enjoying like just hanging out, yucking it up, and having bar food and drinking and stuff. And that's right. We kept saying it, like stress-free football, woo!
We could pull a ton of gross stats out about our teams, but I think it's still within the 60-day window. If not, it's within the 90-day window for sure. But in the last 60 days, the Yankees and the Mets both individually have more victories than the Giants or the Jets.
Unbelievable.
Baseball's been done for how long now?
2 months. And it's just 5-21 combined.
What's our combined record at Met Death? Do we know?
The Jets have won 2 games at Met Death.
Have they won 2? God,
yeah.
I thought maybe it was just 1.
The Giants have not won at home, and it probably will go winless at home this year.
I hope so.
Yeah, the Jets won 2 at Met Death.
Yeah.
So 2-10? No, 2-14 or something like that.
God.
Just pathetic. You guys have a chance to be the first team in NFL history to go 0-9 at home. You got the extra home game.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Awesome.
Well, it's gonna happen this week because the Ravens coming to town. So Ravens coming to Met Death. Lamar Jackson's probably just he's gonna be floating balls up there he's probably gonna throw the ball and then just point and turn his back and start running back to the bench halfway through, knowing that's gonna be a touchdown, or he's gonna just run himself and gash the defense. This is gonna be a laugher. It's one of those where John Harbaugh probably will rest starters by halftime and just cruise to a win to try and then overtake the Steelers in the AFC North.
It's going to be the get right game for Justin Tucker. He's going to be banging 65-yarders all game long.
Oh yeah.
Watch.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I don't see how we're keeping Baltimore out of the end zone. I think they just run up. I think it's just all touchdown. I think it's one of those all just a touchdown day for Baltimore.
Yeah. I mean, when
It's
you
funny.
Run down their roster, man.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Oh my God. How we
Lamar
stopping?
Jackson.
Oh my God.
Zay Flowers. You know who's going to get off the schneid big? Mark Andrews, who's done nothing this year. He'll score twice. Like Scott said, Justin Tucker just drilling 60-yarders.
How fun is this going to be for the Baltimore Ravens?
Oh man, it's like a
home game. It's going to be a home game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, the Jaguars take on the Jets in Jacksonville, and guys, the Jets here have a legitimate shot to also have their own. You could have a Grey Goose game, Novak. We'll have a Grey Goose game on the other end. We can watch like the first 10 minutes of the game and probably go out and run errands and do whatever we need to. You could sit there with the Grey Goose and maybe some olives and a tilted glass.
The Jets and the Jaguars. Who wants to watch that?
That's an NFL game.
I mean, God, it's an NFL. It's right, Cardone. It's an NFL game.
That's an NFL game this weekend.
Who the hell wants to? I mean,
Awful.
it's guaranteed to be a Vilma game, no doubt.
Who's at that game? Who's going to that game?
I don't know. Like, who
Jet
would go
fans,
to that game?
Jet fans in Florida.
I mean, we saw it when Cardone. You showed us when we were at the bar on Sunday.
Yeah.
The giant tickets were going for $1.
$1. Yeah, my brother.
$1.
Greg set a record for all-time low. He's got 4 seats in the upper deck. I think he sold 4 tickets and a parking pass, and I think he for a net total, a whopping total of $45, which is incredible. Even he got $45. So broke his own record, whatever it was, last year or something. Yeah, $45. But he did. Yeah. So we used to remember how we made fun of the Panthers. Was it last year, the year before? They were, tickets were going on StubHub just for the StubHub fee of like 39 cents or some shit like that, or whatever it was. Yeah, tickets at Met Death were $1. $1. This is the New York Giants we're talking about.
Like when you check out like a store and they round up to $1 or a Giants ticket.
Yeah.
You got guys standing on the corner like in Vegas, just flapping their hands. Ticket, handing them out. No one's taking them.
Guys begging. You throw a giant ticket in his bucket and he throws it back at you.
Rock bottom. This is it. We're at it. I mean, when tickets are going for $1, come on.
I'm sure the Jets-Jags game has got it's got to be 50 cents. I mean, who's going to go to that?
I don't know.
So, Mike, I'm gonna have to turn predictions over to you early.
Ready?
Yeah, man, we might get this. We
Flying
might knock
through.
this one out in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last week, you know what? I never kind of recap our scores. I figure I'll do that. So last week, everyone picked New Orleans. What was the final of the game?
14-11. Yeah.
Cardone was the closest with a 19-13. Oh, Novak guessed 12-9. I mean, that
Yep.
12-9 is
Oh.
pretty good.
That's good.
12-9.
Right
Yeah,
there.
12-9. Beautiful. And then the Jets in Miami, Novak and I both picked the Jets. What was the final of that one?
26-23,
What
29,
was it?
26, one of the two.
Wait, what? 20. I got it
Or
right
no,
here.
20. No, they got a
Where'd it go?
28,
I just
22
had
or
it.
something. They got a touchdown
30,
at the end.
32-26.
That's it.
32-26.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one was really all over that one. 26-20 was Cardone. That's probably the best one there. Overall, Novak and I went 1-1, and Scotty and Cardone each went 2-0, which leaves us now with Novak still in first, still holding on to that game, 19-9. Costing Cardone at 18-10, and Mike, who's trying to gain ground and just following the other direction, is 15-13. So Novak.
All right, I'll start with the Jets. I don't know how they can lose this game. I mean, what a pathetic, horrible, disgusting waste of time that and I'll probably sit through it. Just why, I don't know, but I will. The Jags, they're playing with Mac Jones, who's got to be the worst quarterback in the league. There's a lot of, apparently a lot of internal issues in Jacksonville. They're in Met death, like home field advantage. The Jets have actually played pretty well with the exception of the end of games the last 3 weeks. So I have to think this is the time they turn it around. I do think this could be a Grey Goose game. I said I wasn't going to pick the Jets after they lost to the Broncos, but I'm doing it again. I'm going to take the Jets here 28-10. For the Giants, this is just, I mean, I could be wrong, but I do think this is going to be a fucking blowout. The 16.5 points sounds right to me. I mean, Vegas isn't stupid. I think it's going to be right around that. I don't see the Giants doing much of anything. I think DeVito is not. Come on, what are we doing? That they had 3 points against the Saints at halftime. I don't see this being much of anything. I'm going to call it 34-6 Ravens.
And we did not mention that in the opening, but DeVito is the starting quarterback this week instead of
Yes,
Drew
he is.
Lock, so he will be back.
It's not even worth mentioning. That's why. You talk about is that think about that. Is that the ultimate not care, give a shit, who's even starting quarterback for the Giants this week? I saw the announcement about DeVito. I don't even know if I blinked. I'm like, fucking. Yeah. I just, the text thread was just, Cutlets is back. I'm like, oh god, yeah, Cutlets is back.
That was one of the things we used to talk about too, when everyone would drag on Daniel Jones and say, well, any other quarterback you brought in there, they're going to give you the same results. And then we watched Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm and a bunch of these other stiffs come in and look, not even functional. At least Daniel Jones moves the ball and makes the team competitive. These other guys don't do a damn thing. And so I'll still go back and say Daniel Jones is a serviceable NFL quarterback while these other guys are not, but
I mean, it's you're right. I mean, yeah, okay, we're losers and we were losing games at a pretty regular basis with Daniel Jones in there, but we weren't losing them like this. Daniel Jones made us moderately competitive. Which, when you look at what happens the minute he's gone, says more about Daniel Jones than anything he did while he was here. Yeah. And Scott's right. It's not just this year. It's every year. Jones gets hurt. Everyone bags on Jones. He gets hurt. The team goes immediately from less than mediocre to uncompetitive, just from changing one position to guys, by the way, the fans want to see. I want to see what DeVito's got.
They got paper bags on their head at Met Death. They're not fucking seeing anything.
We got to know what Drew Lock's. It's stupid.
Do you remember when people really were calling for Jake Fromm? And I think the guy played one game.
Yeah.
One game. That was it.
Yeah. We had people screaming for Jake Fromm.
Was Fromm the one that ran the QB sneak 3 times? Or was that?
I think he
Leonard?
was.
I think it was Fromm, actually.
Yeah, it might have been.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
You can't be running 3 QB sneaks with a guy with a neck like Glennon's. That's not a good.
He might actually get it 2 yards. Neck alone.
All right,
So-
Scotty.
So my predictions, I'll start with the Jet game as well. The Jets, the Jaguars are non-competitive as well. The Jaguar-Titan game might have been the game that rivaled the Giants-Saints in terms of ugliness last week. And the Jacksonville Jaguars had a chance to win that game, and Mac Jones is their starting quarterback. But I don't see it like we said before. The Jets have been playing decently. They don't look like a 3-win team, but they look okay. And I see the Jets winning this game 26-7. And by the way, there's 9, or it's either 8 or 9 teams in the NFL right now with 3 wins or less. Think about how futile that is.
Well, that's you're approaching my pet peeve there, Scott.
Oh, all right, I'll back off.
It's like I said, mine is not that elaborate. Believe me, it's I can get it done in 2 sentences when we get around to peeves, but I touch on that.
All right. So on the Giant game, I so badly want to say something to Dick on this one, just to steal Mike, but I can't. I think the Giants will score. I think they'll score probably once the game is out of hand. But this will be a laugher, and it's going to be 35-9. I'd say 35-7, but I think it's going to be 35-9.
Yeah, you got to add the scores up in 3s, not 7s.
Right.
Cardone.
Yes. For the Jet game, I'll start there. Jacksonville snuck out a win somehow against, I think at Tennessee last week. They're not winning 2 in a row. I think it's a little bit more even about that storyline. The Jaguars are not going to all of a sudden put together 2 wins in a row.
No.
With how pathetic they are. And the other factor now is more on the our pod, from a personal standpoint, because the Giants will be in last place, that we know. We also now want the Jets to end up in last place in the AFC East. And the reason why is that with the extra 17th game the last couple of years, the NFC East plays at the AFC East for the extra game next year. So if the Jets end up in last place, the Giants will be playing at the Jets next year. So that is something to keep an eye on. We would love to see that happen. I don't think it's going to, because the Jets are going to win this game. And the Patriots we looked at the schedules before we came on, and unfortunately it looks like the Jets will somehow sneak a 3rd place finish, but it starts this weekend. I think the Jets get the win here. It's not going to be a very exciting game. I don't have a very high scoring game. I certainly don't have a Grey Goose game for the Jets, but I do have them winning by double digits. Give me the Jets 24-13. I don't know where the Jags are getting 13 points from. Maybe the Dick fumbles and the Jags have to go, 8 yards or something for a touchdown or something. But 24-13 Jets. Yeah. And as far as Met Death and the Giants, I have my score is 42-10 Baltimore. And that's only because I don't think they're going to keep. That's just, what is that? 6 touchdowns. They're not keeping the Baltimore out of the end zone.
7 touchdowns.
We're not going to be.
We're
not
not
going to need to
6
see.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
6 touchdowns.
We're not going to need to see Justin Tucker. He'll be kicking extra points all day. And yeah, Mike, like I think you just said, the Giant, or was it Scott who said the Giants scored like a late touchdown, some bullshit. This game is going to be just another horrific, uncompetitive, pathetic display of the current modern era Giants football. 42-10 Baltimore.
42-10. All right, I'll start with the Jets game as well. And I think we all kind of have the same idea here, is that, Jacksonville is a shell of a football team right now. The Jets have played well recently, although they don't have the wins to show for it. But if they play anything like they played in the last 2 or 3 games they played ever since that Arizona game, right? That ever since then, they've been kind of pretty all right. They just haven't got the wins. If they play anything like they've played in those 3 games, they will demolish Jacksonville. I can't even. I want to pick this one to try to gain on everybody, but you can't. I'll lose it if I do. So I'm just gonna go with the chalk, and I'll take the Jets. And I'm very similar score. You guys got 28-10, 26-7, 24-13. Yeah, I'll say 24-10.
I think it's the grain isn't something you've shied away from in the last few weeks.
No, it isn't. But I'm falling too far behind. I don't want to go below 500 trying to catch up, man. I'm just chopping wood right now. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. And Baltimore and the Giants. I mean, you guys said it all. This is an absolute laugh-a-thon. I mean, this is crazy. I've got some things to talk about the Giants and this game and some of the circumstances around this game in my pet peeve. So I'll leave that for then. But it's funny. No, Cardone's score was 42-10, and I was always going to pick the Giants to have 11 because in one of these epic years, right? The Giants are the first team to have back-to-back games with 11. That's what I want to hear. Like something like that. So, I was thinking 42, just over 40, around 40. So I'll just switch mine to 1 point off Cardone's in each direction and say 41-11.
Love it.
So last week before we did the Around the League segment, I read off the list of games. Guys, this week, almost as bad. It's almost as bad.
Oh,
so
God.
You got the Ravens-Giants.
No.
Terrible one.
Awful.
Yeah.
You have one this is a decent game, I guess, but it's the Thursday game, Rams 49ers.
40.
All right.
The 49ers
average at best.
The
It's
49ers
watchable.
are half crippled.
Yep.
Chiefs Browns.
Nope.
Oh,
Terrible.
God.
Anything
By the way,
Browns? No.
Browns 3-10. The Bengals at the 3-10 Titans.
No. Anything with the Titans. I don't care.
Anything
who's playing
Titans
is garbage.
unwatchable.
Commanders at the Saints.
Nope. Saints
No.
are awful. We saw that. It was terrible.
Gross.
Cowboys at the 3-10 Panthers.
Ugh.
Bears.
Awful.
Oh my God.
Just
3-10
garbage.
Jets against the 3-10 Jaguars.
First game of the week.
Is it-
I mean, it's so
is it-
bad.
There's a new category.
Yeah,
That's
that's
bad for that.
God, that's awful.
The Dolphins against the Texans.
Ugh,
No.
Another.
And
another
let me, and,
bad
and take it from a guy who doesn't play fantasy football anymore. Think about it from my shoes, guy, where I don't have any fantasy shit in any of this stuff. So imagine like Dolphins Texans. What remote interest do I have in that game?
Don't.
Think about like, and I don't miss fantasy football. I've said it many times. You've heard me say it, guys, off and on the pod. So for me, it's like that game doesn't. It's not even an NFL game to me. It's not even on. It doesn't even exist. Go ahead, Scott. Proceed. Sorry.
No. So I mean, right now we maybe had one game at the Rams 49ers, so
Yeah,
tepid interest.
no.
But again, it's on Amazon on a
and it's a
Thursday
Thursday night. I don't care.
We're on 7 and almost 1.
Yeah.
But 7 that are unwatchable, 1 that's moderately watchable. That's where we are now.
Another
7,
team that's
0-1.
basically unwatchable to me, the Colts against the Broncos.
No, that's
Unwatchable.
just garbage. That's worse than the Dolphin game.
The
Bad.
next 2 are probably the games of the week. Bills at the Lions,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good one.
that's-
I like
that's
that. That's
awesome.
a great
Peak
game.
interest
That's
there.
awesome.
Yep.
and then the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Steelers at the Eagles.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
good game.
Another very
I'll
good
take
one.
that. Yep.
And then you got the 3-10 Patriots against the Cardinals. We already talked about the
That's-
Cardinals.
God,
And
no.
Garbage. Nope.
The Buccaneers against the Chargers. I really don't have any. I don't like either of those teams, so it's tough for me because I'm not going to sit down and watch the Chargers.
You got
I
two
think
teams
that
there above
game-
500, and it's not compelling.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm gonna put that one
Yeah.
in the middle.
And here's probably the last one that's on the watchable side. But it's a Sunday night game. It's Packers at the Seahawks.
Packers, Seahawks.
Uh,
Seahawks are tough to watch too. I don't.
They
really
for
are.
some
It's not
reason.
terrible. That's like the Buccaneer game. I would say.
It's
You
watchable.
Yeah.
It's a
Watchable,
Sunday night game,
yeah.
so there's nothing. It's the only game. Obviously, there's nothing going up against it. So I will sit and watch some of that game. I'm certainly not watching a full slate there, but I'll give that some time.
And then, guys, as you know, we get down to the end of the year. For some reason, we were going to dual Monday night games again.
Yeah.
So
Why?
2 Monday nights.
Don't know.
And they would have
They
enough
are
games.
8 o'clock and 8:30. Bears against the Vikings. Falcons Raiders.
No,
God,
either
no.
of them are terrible.
No.
The
Falcons,
Raiders. The 2-11 Raiders.
I mean, the only interest for Tankathon is looking to see if the Raiders can get a win there. That's about it.
Yeah.
Which they can. They can beat the Falcons at home. I think they will do. I do.
So those two were this week. This is the 2 Monday night week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 Monday nights again.
In December.
What's
All
the
right.
rationale there? Why?
I have no idea. I still don't understand why you would put them 8 and 8:30. Maybe do a West Coast game at like 11 if you're going to do that or so. I don't get it.
It doesn't
I
make
was
any
just gonna-
sense.
I was just going to make that comment, Scott. 8 and 8. So you have them on simultaneously. That makes no sense. Yeah, I don't know. NFL, do what do I know?
Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
And
Yeah,
it
so-
torpedoes the ability to have the Mannings on. It's just probably
Yeah.
better than any
Yeah,
of
that's
those
right.
games.
They got to get more ratings off of that than that game. So the final tally there of a full slate of 16 NFL games this weekend. Full slate, 11 we've deemed completely unwatchable. 3 we said, and 2 were like, yeah, okay, that's a good game.
Yeah.
So 16 games, 2 of them are compelling.
And guys, that's December football right there with only a few weeks to go.
Yeah.
So you're talking about playoff positioning, seedings, all those
All that.
implications, things like that, fantasy stuff. I mean, it factors. But yeah, I mean, forget fantasy, but I mean, just as far as the NFL interest level, there's next to none. There's very little. Couple games.
Even 10 years ago, that's flipped. It's
Yes.
2 games I could never watch, 3 are okay, and 11 I can't miss a second.
Yeah.
Spot
And you
on,
knew it
Novak.
because during the recap of NFL Game Day, you'd have Bill Pito doing the Jaguars Saints.
The 3 games, the 3-game pedo spread.
And guys, I don't know about you, but I'll speak for myself. Like coming on here every week, I feel like I'm scratching and clawing for like content even around the league. It just feels like there's nothing going on. So
Yeah.
It's
There's
the
just-
same
it's not-
tired 5
Yeah.
narratives from last year. It's nothing has changed from last year. Nothing.
And
No.
it's funny you said that because we're almost 7 days removed from the Thursday game from last week, and yet today I was still hearing about Dan Campbell's ballsy coaching and how he's driving this team and he's actually revolutionizing the game. They said, and I have to give props to Novak. I think we actually called this segment out. Maybe it's not on the website, but we called it out last year. Novak called that Campbell was going to make a move that cost the Lions a game that mattered in the playoffs, and he did. He's going to do it again.
Yeah. That is definitely something to keep an eye on. Where
No doubt.
I'm pulling for Detroit. I like Dan Campbell. I like talk about a long-suffering fan base. Sorry, Novak. Apologize. I know you're certainly a member of the longest, but Detroit's there as well. And so another fan, and I want this team to pull through in the NFC eventually. And I fear that some bullshit Campbell's going to make some gutsy, ballsy move, and then what are we going to be saying about it when it costs them in the playoffs and maybe costs them a trip to the Super Bowl? Yeah.
Well, Mike's always said this year that Dable coaches the Giants like we're the Chiefs. He does these plays, and these 2-point conversions and things like that, which by the way, this last week, for some reason, he went completely conservative. It's almost like he wanted to tank because we went, instead of going for it on 4th down, we punted several times. But anyway, he coaches us like we're the Chiefs. Campbell coaches the Lions like they're the goddamn Giants. He's pulling trick plays out up 35-10 as if his team needs to do a triple reverse, triple Lindy.
Triple Lindy.
That's true. I mean, the proof of that is even the Chiefs, when they had Kadarius Toney, when they tried these trick plays, it bit him in the ass. We got a team full of Kadarius Toneys. You don't give them the ball. Like it's you don't give them the ball in a reverse or something they're not used to doing. It's gonna blow up, man. It's just gonna blow up. Tony now, he's great. Kadarius Toney shows up 1 week a year now, does something so insanely boneheaded and then just goes back away for another year. I love this guy's career. It's been
He
good
just
to
got
follow.
cut this week.
Did he get cut?
He got cut from I think the
Well,
Browns.
he had 2 punt returns. He had a fumble, and then he got a penalty on the next one for throwing the ball at a guy after a fair catch.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And he got cut the next day.
Yeah.
So,
There he is, Tony.
the other non-shocking event that happened this week was Chiefs won on a walk-off field goal. It hit the upright, but still, it was completely understandable. You knew it was going to happen.
I can't believe how sick and tired I am of that team. Think about that a few years ago. Chiefs were new blood, fresh face. You know, they hadn't won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl 4, when none of us remember that, right? Where, you know, whatever year that was, 1970 or, you know, something, you know, and for me to be as just exhausted and sick and tired and downright rooting against the Chiefs now, it's shows how much has changed in the last 5 years and why this team is now just the face of the NFL. They are worse than New England Patriots were during their dynasty, because the New England they just earned a lot of wins, and they just Deflategate, some other shit. Yeah, you could say that. But now this Chief team is insufferable, and they just need to go away somehow. Someone needs to knock this team off.
You could tell with the ball halfway to the goalpost that it was going to hit it. It was like it was a laser toward that goalpost. You knew it was going to hit it. And it's like, okay, where does it go after it hits it? And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, it goes in. Unbelievable.
I mean, we said it when we were together on Sunday. If it's Chiefs Eagles in the Super Bowl, I don't know that I could watch that game. I'm not kidding. I would go to a Super Bowl party or whatever just to hang out, but I have less than zero interest in watching that, because I don't want either of them to win.
Andy Reid revenge game.
But they've already done it.
Right.
Just go back to the Bills Lions game for a minute. Over under, Novak, you're good at these. What would you set the over under at for number of times Super Bowl preview gets mentioned during that game?
Has to be 15. I think that's the number you go with. That jumps off.
Yeah, that's solid.
And how many times do you think they'll say, well, Dan Campbell's playing his cards close to his vest because he doesn't want to show anything for the possible Super Bowl game, and say with McDermott.
Yeah.
Well, McDermott's not going to pull out anything because he wants to keep it under wraps.
But Campbell's going to go on 4th and 4. This is the Lions being the Lions. This is Lions being football. The Lions.
By the way, a quick note, Scott, if I can go back to the scheduling for this weekend. So we talked about the dual Monday night games. I just realized, and this is probably what happened in the NFL, and whenever they made the schedule, AWS, whoever the hell's responsible for that, there's no buys this weekend, right? So I think it's the first week in a long time there's no buys. So when the schedule makers were making the schedule, they're probably like, holy shit, we forgot to schedule the fucking Falcons and the Raiders. Fuck it, just throw them on Monday night. Just throw Monday night. As they're going through the schedule, like, wait a minute, they got to be, we forgot to schedule a game. Just fucking put it on Monday. Who cares? Monday no one's going to watch that. No one's watching that shit anyway. Falcons Raiders on Monday night. So yeah, I think that was one they just literally just forgot to schedule because they just assumed there was a buy in there somewhere. And oh shit, no, we got 16 games to schedule this weekend. Crap.
You guys got anything else from around the league?
No,
the league sucks.
Just again, I would say, because I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Josh Allen, man, if he's not the MVP, just stop. Lamar Jackson, all these others, Saquon Barkley, stop it. Come on.
So last week, we were talking about flight being a superpower we wish we could have. We chose it over X-ray vision and mind reading. But when I think of superpowers, one of the most lame ones I think is that of Aquaman. And one of the lamest movies about superheroes has to be Aquaman. Yet Jason Momoa survives and thrives. He's got to be a rugged uncle. That's the only explanation I have. So when a hack has a career arc that has some highs like that, it's got to be the hair. And that hair is perfectly maintained with the premier styling butter on the market. Are you going to fire a guy who has Wagyu beef tallow coursing through his follicles? Are you going to boot a guy who leaves a scent combining pine and mango in his glorious wake? No, you give them more roles. And if you're an actor, you could be better than Momoa, but if you have a head of hair, be his equal and become a rugged uncle. So go to ruggeduncle.com and use code AngryFans to get 20% off your order. Just don't squeal like you're hurting a pack of orca.
It's a pod. It's a
Best name of
pod.
a product, though, that in a long time that I've heard. Rugged Uncle. I don't think we just got to keep just pointing to that. Just brilliantly. I just love the name, man. It's just a cool name.
Yeah.
Cool product.
It is a pod of orca. So on a podcast, we're talking about a pod of orca.
A pod. Yeah.
You guys are more
useless.
You're more like superhero fans than I am, but Aquaman was just horrific to me.
What did he do exactly? What was his
Swam. I mean,
Well, he has.
he's in the water.
He has,
I don't know.
He has sonar.
Oh, he has
can
sonar.
make-
That's right.
he
But
can
what was
make
he
fish
fighting?
do
What was the
things.
evil, or what was he
The
saving the
mantis.
world from? What was it?
The mantis.
The mantis? Didn't
Yeah.
Jerry and George talk about him in the coffee at Monk's?
Yeah.
saying, does he have legs on
They did.
land or something, right?
Yeah.
Or
Might have been one of the first episodes. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Aquaman. I remember that. You remember the underoos when we were kids, man? You get like the Spider-Man
Yes.
underoos. So my grandparents got me Aquaman one year, and I was like, this is the lamest thing, the Aquaman underoos. I wore out the Batman and Spider-Man once, but yeah.
I had Captain America's. I know that. Yeah.
Who's the guy that controls the animals on or the marine life on The Boys?
Oh,
The-
man.
what the hell's his name?
I can't think of it. That's why I was like, but it's the same
Deep.
thing.
The
The deep. The deep. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the lamest thing possible. You
Yeah.
know, you have to call like a whale out of the ocean, but half your problems are on land.
I got
Yeah,
do a quick.
Aquaman's very niche.
I got to do a quick raise the glass to my rugged uncle passed this week, Uncle Buzz.
Oh, Uncle
Uncle
Buzz.
Uncle Buzz.
Uncle
so
Buzz.
he was definitely rugged. He was known for wearing mink coats, fedoras, the whole thing. He was rugged, no doubt.
Ah,
But,
all right.
That's
God
a rugged
bless.
good,
Uncle
life,
Buzz.
good life lived. Another Jet fan who didn't get to see
Mhm.
a second Super Bowl.
Ah.
sadly.
Ah.
Sorry to see Uncle
Love
Buzz
Uncle Buzz.
pass.
Yeah.
So, with that, Cardone, I'm going to start with you since your
Whoa.
pet peeve is short.
I'm telling you, it's just short. I am completely embracing Tankathon. There's no question. This is the first time in my life. I know we've talked about this in the last couple of years, but this year is different. And the reason why is that this Giant team is by far the grossest, worst, deplorable. Pick any adjective you want. They are the most horrific team in the NFL this year. And even in a year where we're by far, without question, the worst team in the league, we are battling just to get the number one pick because the NFL is so freaking pathetic with these other teams. Like, Scott, you already made mention of it. I got the Tankathon standings in front of me right here. And there's 8 teams with 10 or more losses we are in a battle with. So we suck at sucking. It's just like this. If there's ever a year where like, oh man, that is the worst team. Like they are on the clock, number one pick, New York Giants. We've talked about this on the pod for the last 5 years. We're always in that 5th, 6th, 7th, area of picking. That is not good enough. I want the number one pick. I don't care Sanders. I don't want him. Whatever. I just want to be in that driver's seat where if teams want to trade up, whatever, it just opens a door for all those scenarios. And the Giants above. I look at Carolina, New England, Vegas, Jacksonville won. These teams are competing. The New York Giants are not in this league. They should be. They should have this thing wrapped up with how many games we have left? 4 still. There's a chance we could still blow this because these other teams refuse to lose. I'm looking. Jacksonville somehow snuck out a win. Vegas, maybe they can sneak out a win. The only team ahead of us right now is Vegas, and that's by 0.05 percentage points of the strength of schedule. We're the only 2 teams sitting at 2-11. But my pet peeve is unbelievable that I was saying stress-free. This is what's giving me stress the last 4 weeks because I am all about tanking. I'm all about losing right now. I don't want to win anything. I don't want to win another game. I'm praying that we don't. We need that number one pick. And I was thinking about it today, guys, and it's just, I'm looking at the standings. I'm like, God damn it. It just started to really piss me off that we can't just be far and away locked into this. A lot can happen in 4 weeks, but the Giants, we know, are not winning another game. And
They're not
and
winning a game.
They're not. Giants are not going to win another game. There's no way. And that's how bad they are. And it's just pissing me off that we are not just by far and away have secure a spot on that number 1 pick right now, because Vegas, right now, if things stay the same, they would, I guess, maybe be picking ahead of us. Who knows? But it's just, my peeve is just the how many other bad teams there are in the league. It's just another indicator of the NFL, and that there's some just freaking bad teams out there.
I feel sometimes I'm out of touch with the NFL, because in the preseason, there were a couple people saying the Giants could be one of the worst teams in the league. I'm like, come on, what the hell are you talking about? And, well, they knew what they were talking about. I did not.
Yeah,
I'm the same. I mean, I am the same, and I'm not. I don't say that every year, but this year I felt like they're going to be a middling team who might surprise some people.
Yeah.
Now, everyone else who said the Giants are the worst team in the league, that they have the worst roster in the league, that tip my cap. I mean, I still don't think they have the worst roster in the league. I can't explain fully why we are where we are. I mean, I know since we jettisoned Jones, I know why we are where we are. But even before that, I don't know. It's a good point.
Here's the funniest thing. We midway through the well, I wouldn't say midway, but the first 6 games or so, we thought, all right, the offensive line, it's okay. We're doing okay. And then Thomas gets hurt, Illuminor goes down, and we're back to having the shittiest offensive line possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Again.
Like that.
Yeah.
So I'll go next. I'm wearing my Clemson garb right now. Clemson won the ACC championship, but my pet peeve is actually about the team that I like to root for, and a coach that I genuinely like and I think is a good coach for that program, Dabo Swinney. And it's that in the post-game conference, when they were talking about winning, about beating SMU and the road that they had traveled, they kept talking about, and it wasn't just Dabo, it was players too. It was basically, to a man, everyone that went in front of the camera. God opened this door for us. God let us, compete today. God gave us this opportunity. God did this, and we took advantage of it. And when you say that, I think you're trying to push off, your own talent. You're trying to appear as if you're not selfish. But to me, it comes off as completely selfish, because if you're saying that God opened the door for you, it means he closed it for someone else, and he closed it for Miami. So did he close it because Miami is worse than Clemson in terms of morals or something like that? No. What you should be congratulating, you should be saying, Fran Brown of Syracuse, thank you for having your team motivated enough to beat Miami and give us this opportunity, because that's really what happened. And sports has inexplicable outcomes sometimes. And I'm not saying that Miami-Syracuse outcome was inexplicable, but what it did is it allowed Clemson to play in the ACC championship game. They won that game, and somehow now they're the worst team in the playoffs and have to play Texas in the first round. So does Dabo think God shit on him now? But it's one of those things where I hate when people invoke the name of God. They did this on their own talent, and they got this opportunity because of circumstances that I don't think God gives a shit about a Miami-Syracuse game or who needs to be in a college playoff game. And you see it a lot, and I know it's probably just colloquial, especially being in the South, but you think you're being sort of humble. To me, it comes off as arrogant and distasteful, because you earn this, either wear it or don't, but don't blame some inanimate being for your success.
Yeah, God doesn't care about football. Pretty. Although I do like to think, when I see Miami lose, there is a little part of me that thinks this is God punishing Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis. Like, there's a small part of me that thinks that. So, but no, yeah, it's a good one, Scott. I mean,
I saw that soundbite live much too, Scott. I was thinking, like, where's he going with this? It was, thought the same thing.
It's gotten so prevalent, though, at this point, that it's like, if you don't do that, it's like, do other players look down on you? That's not the first thing out of your mouth. I don't know. It's too much. I agree with you, Scott. It's a good point and a great pet peeve, actually.
It is.
So, Novak, I'll go to you next.
Yeah. So I have nothing to be mad at of football because I just don't care, right? I mean, I'm not peeved about anything because I had such a great time on Sunday. I'm happy. I don't care about football. Who cares?
Stress-free, baby.
I'm gonna go to a different sport, and I don't think I've ever had a pet peeve that pissed you guys off, but I might have one that does for a couple of you. Because my pet peeve is a fan base. So look in New York, the big story this week was not the Jets and the Giants. The big story this week is my Mets taking your guy Juan
Mr. Soto.
For the new sheriff in town, which is King Cullen, and he lives in Queens. So, and all I got to hear about all week is these Yankee fans bitching about the Mets buying a championship. Fuck off. You've been doing it for 30 years.
Oh
Enough.
my God.
Stop it, Yankees. Like, enough. This is the new team. That is flipped. The Mets are the New York baseball team. So suck it, Yankee fans. It's over. The Mets are the new team. So my pet peeve is the Yankees. Tired of hearing about it. I have to deal with this for decades. It's over. The Mets are the team now. That's my pet peeve.
I don't
disagree. Is that Juan Soto said to Bobby Bonilla, "Hold my cerveza."
Listen,
and as
a
few
you tried
listeners,
to get him for $750 million too. He chose the Mets over the Yankees. It's over.
And there's definitely a few listeners who know about this, and I think some of you guys do too, that are sharing the pod with me. I got a thing for Mrs. Met, so the more I can see her on national TV, I'm fine with all of it.
I will. This was almost going to be my pet peeve on the flip side, and the flip side of this is there is not a single athlete in the world worth $750 million.
Absolutely not. No, and that's not my thing. I'm not saying that that's not true because they did way overpaid for this guy, but you went after him anyway, and there's no salary cap, so it doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
It doesn't. Like they might go and spend another $500 million, and it doesn't matter. We're the richest sport owner in all of sports. Deal with it.
So a couple things about that contract. One, I don't know what year it's going to be, but we're eventually going to hit $1 billion contract. Yep. So that's around the corner. I don't know when or who it's going to be, but we're obviously going to be approaching $1 billion contract. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm trying to remember the year. Doesn't really matter. I remember when A-Rod signed with the Texas Rangers. And it was, I think it was like 357 million, or it was 350. It was somewhere in the 350 neighborhood. And at that time was absolutely obnoxious stratosphere that baseball had entered. And think about this. So we have now more than doubled that. And I can remember A-Rod's contract when he left, when Texas grabbed him from Seattle. Mm-hmm. He only played 3 years in Texas. So I'm guessing that was 2001. If I had to guess, it doesn't matter. So, but that's what, all right, a little over 20 years later. But I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you guys remember the A-Rod, terms. It was, same thing. It was whatever, 10, 12 years for 300. But the idea that like, oh my God, $350 million, and now we're at 756.
I'll go back even a little bit further. What about Kevin Brown? Remember the Kevin Brown contract?
Yes.
From the Rangers?
Yeah.
Was that the first one to break 100 million or something? It was something. It was some milestone, and
yeah, but
it was crazy.
A billion is around the corner.
I don't know if Bobby Witt Jr. maybe that's the $1 billion one when he comes off his contract. I don't know, but it's coming. $1 billion.
He can't be better than. He's not better than Soto though.
No, he's not. No.
Maybe it's Bobby Bonilla. I don't know. Who knows?
Bobby Bonilla is still going to get paid when Soto is like done being a Met. He's they're going to go out every Bobby Bonilla day and have a steak dinner and have Mr. Met sitting at the table with him.
That's why doesn't Cohen just say, I'm so sick of hearing about this on July 1st every year. Just pay the guy. You've got all this money.
Off.
Just pay him and be done.
Pay him off.
To hear about it.
I think the Islanders are still paying for a goalie from the 80s.
Jesus.
Remember DiPietro?
DiPietro.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a quick first pet peeve now that just came up just in the last 30 seconds or so. How come Cardone having a thing for Mrs. Met is perfectly fine, but I like Nancy McKeon and I'm a pariah for that? I mean, what the baseball head? What the hell?
By the way, let me cut you off first. So Kevin Brown signed a 7-year, $105 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1998. He was the first one to surpass 100 million. So it was 100 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Good recollection.
1998. So look where we are now.
Times what, 7 times 7.5?
I didn't mean to cut off your love of lesbians, so go ahead.
Nancy McKeon.
No, that was it. I added that in the last 30 seconds. That's all. Just like Cardone says, I got a thing for Mrs. Met. And we just
Mrs. Met.
continue a conversation. Like that's not an absurd thing to say. Just keep going.
I'm going for ratings here.
My pet peeve this week was something I've been thinking about for the end of the season, but it's time now because we've already said this team's not winning another game. So my pet peeve is right at the heart of this podcast. It's the 2024 New York Giants. They have reduced me to rubble for the first time in my life, actually wanting to tank. It's completely new for me, as Cardone mentioned before. I don't want them to win. Like I said, still get that little twinge when they lose, but he's quickly erased. And so just think about what's happening this week in the NFL. The Giants are currently 16.5-point underdogs at home to the Baltimore Ravens. That's absurd on its surface. That number I would think is likely to go up. I think Novak mentioned that number seems about right to me. There's still numbers. There's still money going on Baltimore in that game. It could go up. I mean, it really could. And I just want you to think about this for a second. The Giants are at home, and the Ravens are fucking 8-5. It's not.
We're acting like they're 14-2.
Yeah, the
Right.
16. What if the Giants next week played at Detroit? What would that line be? 40? If you're
In the 20s.
if you're
At
keeping
Saw
apples
State
to
versus
apples,
Georgia.
I mean, that's how bad this team is, though. That line could be 26, and I'd be like, I like the Lions to cover that. I mean, we keep saying there's no difference. There's no difference. There is a difference, but it's not the way you want it to be different. This team, I mean, 4 out of 5 years that we've done this podcast, we've been in this situation or similar to it at this time of year. 4 out of 5 years. So we have a podcast about a team of losers that don't deserve to have a podcast written about them. You know what I mean? Performed for them and in their honor. It's this year is we've never been this bad. And for those 5 years, the worst previous loss total the Giants had right now was 4. So in the time we've been doing this is a little different. This has reduced us all, I mean, to just acting like people we hate in bars. Like Cardone mentioned it earlier. Like we are the guys now with our team on over our shoulder, yucking it up. And there's probably Lions fans in there watching the game. Like, look at these Giants fans over here.
Right.
This is why their team sucks. I've been watching this fat guy. He hasn't looked at the TV for 15 minutes. Like we are what we hate, and this is how you become that. I guess it's just constant, pervasive, unstoppable losing, and it's. I know last year we thought was rock bottom. I know earlier this year we thought was rock bottom, losing to the Panthers. It's gotten worse, guys. It has gotten worse. And, luckily in the NFL, there's no mega loss. The loss is a loss. But every week we prove that, and it started as a joke on here, but not even this year, about how we're not even in this league. We are not an NFL football team.
No.
Yeah. With Daniel Jones at quarterback, we were barely one, but we don't belong in this league. We don't belong along with the other fan bases. How am I going to have a conversation with a Kansas City Chiefs fan?
About what?
What are we going to talk? It can't be about football.
World.
It would have to be about barbecue.
To that point, Mike, I don't want to derail you here at all, but like
we're good.
So,
we're at the end.
At work this week, my coworker on the other side of the hall was talking to another coworker who's a Raven fan, and this guy says to me, he's like, "Hey, Cardone, he's like, what's his name said, that the Ravens are going to, like smash the Giants this week. I'm like, I'll bet you by how much? What do you mean? Of course. Like, am I supposed to get like, am I supposed to like defend the Giants? He'd be like, oh, bullshit, dude. Like, I'll bet you a dozen wings the Giants kick your ass. Bullshit. Like, I'm the guy. Like, what are you talking about? I'm the guy getting into bar fights and arguments by telling you how bad my team is. Like, I'm in the bizarro world. Where usually, like, guys are fighting, getting into fist fights about, some guy like just you guys suck, and I'm doing the opposite. So this guy's like yelling across the hall like Cardone, Ravens are going to kick the Giants' ass. I'm like, yes, I know that.
Of course,
I'll bet you by how much. So, sorry, Mike. Didn't mean to jump on your peeve.
I mean, that's it. That's the end.
No, it's so true. And then you guys are on the way down and have been for a while. I've actually come all the way around for respect factor because I get a lot of people that like they made fun of me for so many years, right? And then they just felt bad for me. Now I get the respect. Like, you've stuck with this team after all this. I have massive respect for you. Like I've gone full circle. You guys are still on the way down.
Come out the other side.
Yeah, it's great. People are like, good for you, man. You've stuck with that team. I don't know anyone else that could do that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we got a few questions this week. By the way, I forgot to mention, we did a shout out last week to Schenectady, New York, and I heard from a guy that actually I was friends with in elementary school. And he gave a little more context to Schenectady. He said that Pat Riley was a resident of Schenectady and grew up there. And he also said Billy Connors, who, for us Yankee fans, he was in the front office. I think he was a pitching coach too at one point. But Billy Connors also grew up in Schenectady. So we actually have a few listeners from Schenectady. So it was interesting to hear from someone to get some local color. And I did not point out when I did the shout out this week that we had a couple listeners from Sweden in the last few pods. So Sweden is in the house. So
please try to do a Swedish accent.
I cannot do it. Actually, one of my better ones. When I did the rucksack comment last time, it was one of the better ones. So
I challenge you to do one without mocking the Swedish chef.
So Peacock, of course, sent in some questions, and one of them was, they're talking about expanding replay to and capture almost everything. Are we in favor of that, and do we want to see it even include pass interference? I was always in favor of including pass interference until the year they actually did it and it was a massive failure. I think there was more execution than anything else, but I know Mike has swayed me over the years because he's like, it's not worth it to try and review that. What I think you should be able to do, I think you should be able to review anything just so you get it right. I like the idea of the assisted replay, but for Christ's sake, just let us know how it works and use that. Use it all the time if you want, but just use it properly and use it in every game. Just don't use it for select games for select teams.
Yeah. I would like to see it personally, but I would like the assisted replay to actually go away. I don't like it because you're right, Scott. There's no rhyme or reason, and it's thrown in every now and then. I don't know the rules, how it gets put in there. I would just like to see coaches get 5 opportunities to challenge a play versus the 3.
I still like the college way where they just buzz down.
Absolutely. I don't mind that, I guess. But I don't like the assisted thing because I don't understand how it works. Personally,
I'd like to see things. I'm trying to remember the play. Was it Sam Darnold, the guy his head was almost ripped off by a face mask on the at the end of the game? I want to see things like that should be reviewable. If a guy's face mask is grabbed and it's not called, and you can challenge that, give the coach a challenge. That should be reviewable. Why not? There's no disputing a face mask, even if it's you know what he did. It looked like he grabbed his mask. He did, and what's the harm? No harm, no foul. Check to see. Because that's one, it's easily seeable, on replay. Review that. Why not? Get it right.
And the thing that happened in the Giants and Dallas game earlier this year should never happen in the NFL. And that's just calling the penalty on the wrong team and marking it off against the wrong team. And then knowing that you've done that, but we can't fix it. So, that, that can't happen in the NFL. I have a feeling, I'd like to see like a senior ref who's in the booth with the cameras all the time. And I'd like to, and I know this would be a massive failure, but I would just like to see it for 1 year, just like the replay. Just have a ref up there that says, hey, you know what? That was a good call. That guy was downfield, but it did not impact this play at all. We're picking that up.
Yeah.
Or like on the Giants punt return this week is the most recent example. This is not just the Giants, it's all over the league, but just like, nah, we're picking that holding up. He didn't even grab. Yeah. And I know that would be just rife for all sorts of criticism, but why not 1 year and just see how it goes? The problem with it is the same problem we'll have when they tried to review instant replay, and that's the refs all got together in their little fraternity and said, we're not overturning these because we don't like it and we want it to go away.
I remember a PI against the Patriots when we played them that year that they were reviewing PI, and it was so blatant, and the refs just wouldn't reverse it because they didn't want to reverse themselves. So you're exactly right,
Yep.
Mike.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I have a feeling that anything they try to do there, the refs will rebel against, and if they're all on board and if they're all doing it, there's no recourse for that. If they just say, listen, everybody, no matter what you see on video, we're not overturning a holding. We're not going to overturn this. We're not going to do that. I have a feeling the refs kind of might take advantage of that. But to answer Peacock's question, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it for a year just to see what happens. Because I don't care about how long the games are. I don't give a crap. Play till 5:00 from 1 if you get it right. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
Exactly.
Peacock also mentioned this, which I did not know. He said there's talk about narrowing the goalposts. Are we on board with that or not? And actually, I would be opposed to that, but it depends. Do you just narrow them, or do you make it like the Arena Football League, where it's like just a slat in the middle of the mesh? I think we've seen, and Cardone talked about this last week in his pet peeve. I think we've seen, a regression to the mean a little bit with the place kickers lately. But still, I would not mind seeing the goalpost narrow. The problem is what does that do to records? What does that do to things like that? Now, I'm always fundamental changes, and it's going to be a follow-up question Peacock has after this one. Fundamental changes to games, I'm usually against because of the record part of that. Like how does that impact the people who came before you?
Yeah, make them just shorter enough so that kick from Kansas City would have gone the other way. Just move them that much. No, I wouldn't move them.
I mean, my thing is like, really? There's a million things I would change about this game, and the wideness of the field goal is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Forget about that. Bring the fucking kickoff back, okay? Get rid of this bullshit that we have now, and just go back to kicking the ball off. Fix that first.
Yeah. Actually, I'd be in favor of the big H goalpost, like right out in the middle of the field, like they used to be. Let's go. Let's go back to that. In the middle of the end zone,
and people can run into that thing. That'd be great.
That'd be
awesome. What's funny about that? The goalposts were aligned with the goal line, but because they jutted out a bit, the actual stanchion was like 2 yards deep.
We thought that was a good idea.
That's like backyard football playing with a tree in the middle of the field.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which we did. Yeah.
I wonder how many passes hit the goalposts.
Forget about the width. I tell you what, NFL, because we heightened the uprights of several years back. You need to heighten them even a couple more feet, because I'm still seeing fucking footballs go right over top of the damn upright, and you still can't tell if it's wide or not. So forget about narrowing the things. Build the fucking things a little bit. Add another 2x4 up there, whatever
top
you got to
do.
do.
Stadium.
Yeah.
Have it shoot lights out of top. We talked about that, right?
We did. We talked about having a laser.
Where you could put lasers up there. We got to have that technology.
I love that, because the one guy on the right-hand side always looks to the guy to the left, and the guy on the left looks up, and whatever he does, the other guy mimics, whether it's right or wrong. He doesn't know.
You know what else they got rid of? And I tell you, the most infamous one has got to be Norwide's wide right. Why did they stop? I loved if you go look at the YouTube of Norwide's kick, and the official emphatically waves it like after he says it. Why did they stop doing that years ago?
I don't know. That was awesome.
We know that it's like obviously the other guy sometimes, if let's say he misses it wide right, the one guy just kind of like casually or nonchalantly goes like that. The other guy sometimes doesn't even fucking signal at all because he's looking at the other guy. He's like, well, he's got it. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
They used to go like they used to go emphatic like that, and they stopped doing that.
Yeah,
Cardone likes the emphatic ones. He likes the charge calls, or he likes the home plate up doing that. Hey!
Yeah. The call third strike. I do. But go back and look at Norway. Like they got rid of that. Where they actually show the guy double fisting. He missed it left. It's wide.
So we were talking about narrowing the goalpost, but Peacock actually also asks, are gimmick? We touched upon this last week too. Are gimmicks like the golden at bat and the new kickoff rule, are they ruining sports? Yes. And for me,
yes.
We did touch upon it last week. I talked about the NASCAR playoffs specifically, but I think when you start messing with the integrity of games and you start screwing up the records part of it, that to me is that's one of the things I always go back to is like, how do you compare a guy from an era before? And if you can't have similar records, then you've done something wrong to the game fundamentally. But that's one of them.
This golden at bat rule thing better not come
to
fruition.
No.
It can't.
It's
That's
got
not
to
going
be
to
the
happen.
worst
I don't think
idea
that's going to
I've ever
happen.
heard. It can't, right?
No.
I
better
can't.
not.
Ugh.
I mean, what's the equivalent in other sports? Like at any time the Islanders can say, "Yeah, we'd like our golden penalty shot now, please. We need a goal. So we'd like to just have our golden penalty shot." Or in football, we not enough time left. We want our golden uncontested 60-yard field goal try right now, please. It doesn't make any sense.
I will say this in hockey, it didn't kill the sport when they went to the shootout. I just don't understand why they did that, because once you get to the playoffs, it's a free for all. So maybe if they instituted the shootout in playoff hockey, you'd have a rebellion. But I can't think of a single rule that's been put in place over the last 25 years in any of the major sports that has fundamentally changed the game that I've been in favor of.
Positively? No, I cannot.
Positively.
No.
Not
really.
Maybe the worst was in the COVID years when they did the guy on second during the extra innings because you wanted to shorten the games and keep people free from injury in baseball, which is almost as more laughable than the player safety in NFL.
I don't mind the pitch clock rule personally. It's not. I don't have a problem with it because it does speed up the game in the middle of the year when it's a little boring. But other than that, no, I can't think of one.
Yeah. I thought I'd hate that too, and that's to the point I don't even notice it now.
Exactly.
The pitch clock.
I'll take the opportunity again to say how much I despise still, because it never gets talked about, the running of the clock in the NFL when going out of bounds. It is.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
That's the worst. That to me, in my opinion, absolute worst decision the NFL ever made.
And now it's in
drives
college,
me
too.
nuts. Yeah. To run that clock when throughout the game going out of bounds is just bananas, man. It's insane.
Yeah,
Should have never happened.
I don't know if it's this year that it started, but now if you go out of bounds in college, they spot the ball and the clock starts running immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only rule changes I can think of in a positive light are actually the ones that set it back to the way it was before. So the best example I can think of is like, you remember when the officials used to say he would have landed in bounds had he not been tackled? I forgot what that was even called, but like the defender couldn't.
Oh, the law of verticality.
Yeah. They said, hey, it doesn't. If in their judgment you would have landed in bounds if not for the defender, then they call it a catch.
Yeah.
And it was around for a while actually, and then they finally took it back out, and it was like that. Yeah, You got to get 2 feet in. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if
that's
the defender's there. Just cut it out.
Yeah. That's a good one.
There was people, I swear you guys are going to laugh at this. When that rule was being changed back, there was people on BBI, but the Giants site that Scott and I used to frequent, who were concerned that defenders were going to catch receivers in midair and run to the sideline and throw them out of bounds. That was a legitimate, Scott, am I even kidding?
Get out of here.
That was
No,
a
you're not
legitimate concern
You're not
people
kidding.
had. Like they, when a receiver jumps for the ball, the defender will catch him and just carry him out of bounds.
Carry him
Like,
out.
no, that's not going to happen.
You have to understand too. That site also thought that if you just put sumo wrestlers on the offensive line, that you'd be a better team. So
Legitimate
Put five-
conversation.
put 5
Go ahead.
sumo wrestlers on the offensive line, and you're okay.
God.
So my buddy Mike Harrison, I'm actually going to start with his football question first. He's got 2 non-football questions, but he says if you have a 4th and goal and you need that touchdown, who's the one running back you're going to have to get it? And I think he wants us to answer this from a Giants and Jets perspective. So from my standpoint, and this might not be the most popular choice, I'm putting Brandon Jacobs back there. Have him bulldoze in. He maybe throws a ball at the star. I don't know. He's going.
It's a great answer. It's 4th and
It
3,
is.
Scott, you said?
4th and goal. So 4th and goal
Fourth and
from
goal.
the 1, basically.
From the 1. Okay. I'm going to go old school. I'm going to go OJ.
OJ.
Otis.
Yeah.
Yep. ROJ, not the serial
Yeah.
murderer.
Right.
From the Jets' perspective, I'm going to say Curtis Martin.
Curtis
That guy can
Yeah.
find the end zone like nobody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a better guy than Brandon Jacobs right now either.
That's the right
'cause
answer.
Yeah. That line, at that time, that line. And yeah, when he got into that rhythm of throwing the ball and smashing it up against the, especially, like on the road, he did it in Dallas. He did it in Tampa. He had a couple of those road wins, I think in Green Bay. So Brandon Jacobs is probably the guy. I don't remember the Jacobs ever really being denied or being stuffed. I'm sure he was a couple times. But I don't recall him being stuffed too often at the 1 yard line.
Yeah. I think he's another one that got coached up by Coughlin because he used to, his first couple of years, the knock was that he ran high.
Yeah.
And when he stopped doing that, man, he became an absolute bulldozer.
He was a beast.
There
Yep.
were guys
question.
back then, you don't see them so much anymore, but you think about the Brandon Jacobs, but even before him, Christian Okoye. Remember him?
Wow, the
course.
Nigerian Nightmare. He
The
was great.
Nigerian
Yeah.
Nightmare. I mean, that guy just terrorized defenses. I mean, he would just bull his way in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then one of my most overrated players of all time, Mike Allstott, who you could
I
not
was
deny
just
him, but he would fumble on the way in. He would
True.
He would deny himself.
So Mike also asks, what's the better NFL movie? Is it North Dallas 40 or Any Given Sunday? And I was probably too young for North Dallas 40. I didn't particularly like Any Given Sunday. I think it was a little bit too melodramatic. Like I think
Corny.
I think Novak a couple weeks ago mentioned the Remember the Titans or whatever.
That's the best. Yeah.
That's the best football movie, and I would put that a lot higher than Any Given Sunday. I don't know if it's the Al Pacino overacting or Jamie Foxx being in that. I think he was in that,
Yeah.
but I'd have to go with North Dallas 40 by default because I remember seeing clips of it when I was younger, and it seemed like it was aged, almost like you're watching an episode of Cheers. But I think that was more realistic. That was probably a true NFL locker room in the 70s with steroids going around, drugs, everything else, long hair, a lot of rugged uncles in those locker rooms.
Yeah. If I'm going to apply the Joker's Wild game show rules here. We're like, Joker, geography, botany, and then zoology. I'm going to go off the board here and take because I can't really comment on either one of those movies. So I'm going to go off the board here and give me, give me Ann Pipe and Djordjevic and Salvucci, Rifleman. Give me those guys. Best football movie of all time. Head coach Nickerson. and all the right moves. So I'm going. I'm
Was
going
it-
with the
was
Amp
it-
Pipe
was it the-
Bulldogs.
Wasn't the coach and all the right moves the same as coach from Minnesota?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig T.
Yeah.
Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, one of the things about Coach Nickerson is that he'd be out there coaching. First of all, I think he had the bullhorn too, but he was out there like with a 9-iron in his hand. If you remember, like he just like a little prop. He'd be in between like plays and stuff like that. He'd be like swinging like with one arm like a 9-iron, which was kind of cool. Thought that was just a nice, cool little prop they added in the movie.
Yeah,
I love
just
how he
a
calls him
character
Coach Nickerson.
Yeah. What's that, Scott?
I love how you call him Coach Nickerson. It's
Coach Nickerson. Yeah.
He's my
But-
coach.
They still lost to Walnut Heights, but
I just think
what
of him
can you
as
do?
Coach
It's 'cause he
Hayden
didn't have
Fox.
Rifleman falling the ball.
I think it was Hayden Fox. Maybe
Hayden
I'm
Fox.
wrong.
Wasn't
Minnesota
assistant coach?
State
He wasn't
Assistant coach was Dauber.
Dauber. That dumb guy. Yeah.
Dauber.
and Jerry. Wasn't the old man named Jerry?
Yeah, who was actually
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke's brother.
That's
Yeah, it was
right,
Jerry
Jerry
Van
Van Dyke.
Dyke. That wasn't the
It was.
character's name. I don't remember the character's name.
That's it. Oh no. Yeah, Dauber. Luther. Right? Wasn't it Luther? I think. Or no?
Luther.
Luther?
I think it was Luther.
Right. It was
Yeah.
Luther.
Yeah, Dauber
What I
was.
loved about Dauber's real name, I think, is Bill Fagerbaki.
Really?
I think it is.
That sounds very Pitsnoggle-esque.
No, I think it was Norwegian, but
Is that Dutch?
there is a real dearth, whatever that word is. There's not
Dearth.
many good NFL football movies.
It was not.
no.
Yeah, not
I
NFL
just
ones,
googled
right?
NFL football movies, and like probably the best one on here is Brian's song. That I
that
think
was
I like
really
that
good.
song.
I tell you, Heaven Can
That's
Wait
true.
with Warren
Heaven-
Beatty.
Oh,
back in
Heaven
the
Can
Yeah,
Wait
that's
is
a
a
good
great
movie.
one.
And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
based
it's
on
a
the
good
Los Angeles
movie.
Rams. That's a good one.
The
Yeah.
one with Kevin Costner, where the draft.
Draft Day.
Draft Day.
Draft day. That was really
Yeah.
good.
That's a good one.
The
Yeah,
Water
I forgot
Boy.
about that.
Jerry Maguire was good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, now we're getting into a few. Yeah.
Flash
Peacock
Gordon,
would say
Jet
Rudy.
quarterback.
Peacock loved Rudy.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, he's a Notre Dame guy. That's why.
So the one of the other non-football questions that Mike asks is, drinks with anyone, living or dead, who would you have it with? I'll start
always
with
like this
Mike on
question.
this one.
God.
It's not gonna be Dave Sayak, I know that.
No, I've tried drinks with Dave Sayak. I ended up getting punched in the face. That wasn't very good. No, drinks with anyone, living or dead. I know I'm going to have a really shallow answer here because I had no time to think about this at all.
Right.
But I think like a night out with LT would be pretty fun. Like,
I was thinking
I-
LT.
Yeah, I the other guy like who I absolutely hated like when he was relevant, but now I'd love to sit down and pick his brain is Bill Clinton. I think like a younger than now Bill Clinton. I think I would enjoy hanging out with Bill Clinton.
Mike, you want to go chase some tail?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll stop at McDonald's, go get I mean I'd like a younger Bill Clinton. And then I'll give one more. I'll try to think of one more real quick. I'd like to chill out for a day with Dale Earnhardt. I think that would be a fun day. Fun day of drinks and race cars.
Can I pick the
Good
year?
mix.
You can do whatever you need to.
All right, so I'm gonna say, of course, how could I go anywhere else but Joe Namath in the late '60s?
Oh yeah.
That guy must
Yeah,
have been
hell
a
yeah.
freaking party, and I would love to be his wingman back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yes, of course.
could
That's
see,
not
like-
even it's not even a question for me.
During the fur coat era.
Oh
Right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey,
I
this bit.
always
have a
wanted to. Go ahead, Carter.
No, go ahead, Scott. I wasn't sure where I was going yet.
No, I was gonna say, I always want to hang out with those guys you hear a lot of stories about. So like one of them would be like Ernest Hemingway. Like really, how hard did he go? Like would we be sitting in a bar at 2 a.m. with him going and punching people out? I have no idea. The other one would be just to hang around those Yankees in the early '60s. So like Mickey Mantle,
Yeah.
Billy
Oh.
Martin.
Yeah.
that
Just
would be fun.
wondering what that would be like with Whitey Ford. Are you getting in drunken brawls, or are you just having a whole lot of fun and people are coming up to you going, just treating you like icons?
Yeah. Kings.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple different ones going through my head now, but I mean, this one wouldn't be bad. Maybe like back when before when he was in his absolute heyday and when he was a womanizing animal, maybe Tiger Woods, like during when he was in his
Yeah, that's a good one.
right in his prime.
Yeah.
When he was absolutely at his peak, just to go hang out and see what was he doing? Like just hanging out one night, just where was he going to get all the his list.
Well, we already know he would make a late night Waffle House stop.
That's
so
right.
That's a
Perkins. No, I think it was Perkins, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it IHOP?
I think it was one of those. Perkins, IHOP.
Well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
If we did that, it would be fine. We couldn't do it at our age now. I'd have to be in my 30s or 20s because I'd be tired by 9:30. There's no way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have to have the time machine to go back.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, I heard some stories back in the 80s about Landetta. I heard Landetta was an animal. Yeah.
What about Wade Boggs? Didn't Wade Boggs drink
Wade
100
Boggs.
Miller Lights or something?
Margot.
That's right.
Margot Adams.
Yeah.
Yes. Infamous.
That's a great question, though. Yeah, kudos to your friend for that.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's a good one.
Because you could go so many different directions.
It's hard on the fly.
Yeah,
you
just
just
go all over the place.
Andre the Giant. Remember?
Oh God.
Oh, Rowdy Roddy Piper, maybe one of my all-time favorite wrestler. Like hanging out with him for one night, that'd be crazy.
I don't want to get my head smashed in with a coconut. Or
Yeah.
maybe a banana. You guys got anything else for tonight?
I do.
All right.
I got one thing. Go ahead, Novak.
Susquehanna University Riverhawks in the Division III playoffs for the first time in the quarterfinals since 1991, when my fraternity brother Sean Roll'em and Smoke'em Oaks was running the rock for Susquehanna back in the day. So
that's awesome.
Go Riverhawks.
Awesome. Riverhawks. Who knew?
Cardone?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I was gonna bring up. What do you guys think of Belichick going to North Carolina?
Oh,
Yeah.
I never brought that up. I was going to mention that too. Yeah.
Yep. Heard that.
Is
just
that?
before we came on?
I don't know what's the thought process there with Bill. What's going on?
I'm a little surprised at that because I thought he wanted to break Shula's record at some
So did
point.
I.
did
Yeah.
too.
So this is a little bit. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a right fit. I mean, I could be way off, of course, but something doesn't seem right.
I think someone said that his dad coached there.
See,
Oh, really?
didn't know that.
Years ago.
Yeah.
I thought I heard that tonight. I could be wrong. Could be
I
completely
don't know.
wrong.
There's got to be some storyline there or hook, right? There's got to be.
Maybe his girlfriend's going to join a sorority there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can stay in the dorm. Maybe that's what he wants to do. Yeah, I agree. There's something like we said when the rumor first dropped. I mean, we were kind of laughing about, picturing Bill Belichick preparing for Wake Forest. I can't. It's just a weird thing to say.
Don't
I
look
might
right.
actually get to see him coach it if he comes to Clemson. That'll be great.
Yeah.
True.
We're on to Coastal Carolina.
We're on to Coastal.
The best is when he has to sit there and go North Carolina and A&T. They could be a tough team at times, and we got to take them seriously. And
we have a lot of respect for that defense.
How does he know who these teams are?
By the way, who's called A&T anymore?
A&T. NCA&T?
There's a North Carolina A&T. There's
Agriculture and Tech or something. What are they?
Yeah. I think it's Agriculture and Technology. Yeah.
Yeah. Exhilarating.
All right. Well, we are the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan. Look us up on our Twitter page. We also have our web page, and check out our sponsor, Rugged Uncle. And next week, I hope we'll probably be back talking more about non-football stuff than football stuff. But this is the way it goes in this season like this. And the funny thing is, I know people have checked out. I know a lot of fans have checked out this year. But I hope you do check us out because we do veer off just talking about football. And I know at least a lot of our listeners have enjoyed that.
Yeah, this is the perfect place to come if you've checked out. We've checked out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look,
I'm here for some laughs and
Yeah.
If you don't care, we don't care. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're not going to bore you with the technical data from a 11,
we didn't
13
break down
loss.
shit today.
Can you
We're usually
imagine
pulling
a
up
podcast
stats and
that goes
everything,
through
and
the all 22 right now? And well, right there you'll see where fuck it.
Yeah. How does someone do that?
So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And Mikey, you're gonna have to take us home.
Thank you for the reminder.
See you.